So in preparation for live stream, the meeting is now streaming live on YouTube, I think.
All right.
Yes. So hi and hello. Welcome everybody around the world, wherever you are watching today, in the morning or in the evening or in the afternoon. Grab a coffee or tea or beer, whatever you like. I'm happy to be back. Actually, 1 year later than our last release video for today, version 3.1. It's a big release, and we have worked very, very hard on it. And again, I'd like to welcome, probably in the same setting like in the last video, Ole Ernst, our CTO.
Hi, thanks.
Hello. And Christian Schramm, one of our core engineers. Hello, Christian. Christian, you are muted.
Hi.
By the way. Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. So yeah, where are you both today?
Okay. Yeah, we actually moved to a new apartment, and yeah, I'm currently at home in home office, Corona style, and yeah, doing good.
Mm-hmm. And Ole, where are you sitting now?
I'm in the office, and I actually just looked at the video we recorded a year ago, and looking at my picture, it looks pretty much exactly the same like last time, just with a different shirt. And I think for you, Thorsten, as well, it looks kind of similar.
Yes, that's maybe right. So, so I'm actually here again in my second apartment. And the great thing here is that when I look out of the window, I can show you, first of all, we have really nice weather today, so blue sky. And you cannot really see it, but here behind, what I see is behind the big tree is the TV tower that my grandfather has founded. And it's always nice to kind of have this view. So I really enjoy this. So yeah, what are we up today? So I've just checked, like Ole also said, our last release, and I just want to jump into this, is currently close to the same date. So we released it on 15th of March. It's always the big release at the end of quarter one. And we have, of course, a release note prepared, which we will talk through in detail today. But I think the cool thing, what we want to do today, is that we will speak, not just speak about the release, but also show some live data from systems that we can make short click through to show you some fancy updates that have been done in the last year. So that's great. Yeah, Ole, from your side, any fancy updates? What happened? Maybe in the last release. So anything that came to your mind?
So yeah, I mean, we worked hard on scalability, a lot of it, because we want to, of course, also, be more attractive to really big customers. And one of the major issues I was fixing over the last year basically was the monitoring. So far, we used to use Cacti for monitoring our modems, both DOCSIS and non-DOCSIS modems. But we saw with some of our customers, which are quite big, that they were having some issues with Cacti, especially when it comes to scalability. So at some point in time, it took ages just adding a new device and just updating it. And it was not really much workable for us anymore. And so we now, at least for the modems and the CPEs, we completely switched our monitoring technology from Cacti over to Timescale DB as our data lake, and to display the columns of this database, we use Grafana. The cool thing about this is that now a user can completely define their own dashboards. So if you have a new device which our diagrams don't really work well with, you can always go to Grafana and click, basically point and click your diagrams as you wish. And then you can assign them using the config file. And this way, the customer is very, very flexible in how to display stuff. And at the same time, I also worked quite a bit on monitoring the non-DOCSIS devices. So we can now, via TR69, can pull arbitrary data from the device. We can do some calculations based on it. Normalize, maybe divide by 1,000 if you want to, go from kilobyte to megabyte or kilobit per second to megabit per second or something like this. And then we can just push it into the diagrams. And also on this data, you can also put them on the display them on the map and say, okay, what are the thresholds? When should this value be green? When should it be yellow? When should it be red? And so, yeah, especially in the TR69 world, customers gain much more versatility, are much more versatile now, and we're quite proud on it.
Yeah, great. Maybe you can explain a little bit about the difference from timescale to be maybe to a classical database. So just in case someone is not aware of this, so why is it probably much quicker, or what's the reason why bigger networks or bigger infrastructure requires these kind of databases?
Yeah, so basically, timescale DB is just an extension for Postgres, and so when we were still using Cacti, we had just round-robin databases, but they created a lot of I/O load. And now with timescale DB, we looked at some benchmarks, and they are much better. I mean, they had some benchmarks. Of course, it was quite a beefy machine, but they were able to have 1 million ingestions per second. So it's very scalable also for the future. And for bigger installations, the cool thing about it is just a general SQL database. So you can just use your normal SQL queries and also get it. You know, if you have another system where you want to use our measurement data, you can simply connect it and just query this stuff via SQL. So I think it's also good for bigger customers writing their own software and just wanting to use the monitoring data from us.
Mm-hmm. And Grafana is on top of that simply GUI, right? That's how we understand.
It's the graphical user interface, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Christian, anything from your side that came to your mind first when you think about the new release in the last year in engineering?
Yeah, of course, the big theme was scalability for the last year. So also here in the PHP department, we updated to PHP 8 with the JIT compiler, which brought a lot of performance boosts for all scripts that run. And the JIT caching means that some parts of the code that get used quite often are getting compiled so that they run faster. And with the overall speed benefits of PHP 8, we are pretty confident that the NMS is now performing faster than ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. So I was also surprised how much quicker it is with the new version of PHP 8. So it's kind of amazing that there's a lot of progress on the underlying layers. I think so far we checked that there was no bigger Laravel update, right, between 3.1 and 3.0. Is this right, Christian?
Yes, we are still on the 6.0 long-term support version of Laravel. Yes, and we will continue probably in the next month to update to Laravel 9, but this will be part of another release.
Mm-hmm. So, but there's also probably the expectation that in version 9 of Laravel, it's probably also a little bit quicker, right? So this is what I at least would expect. Yes,
of course, there's always some improvements, but bumping the Laravel version is mostly developer experience, in my opinion. So we get to use better functions or easier access to general functionality that we use day to day. So for contributors, it's really a big step to have Laravel 9. The end customer will notice it not as much as the PHP update. The PHP update is definitely a larger impact in terms of performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already looking forward to the upsorts, for example, in Laravel, and also to save quietly, saving a model without invoking the observers. I think this is one of the issues I constantly, or I sometimes see, and it's nice having this functionality now.
But this is probably like more in the engine of NMS PRIME, right? It's nothing that touches really the heart of our customers.
Right.
But it has a big impact for the coding. Maybe Christian or Ole, you can explain a little bit what Laravel is in case someone of our visitors or viewers do not know. So
yeah, Laravel is so the go-to PHP framework, and the framework is basically a piece of software that calls your code and has a lot of functionality brought within, so that you don't have to write the boilerplate or like code by your own. So everything from routing to MVC structure is also always managed somehow and by Laravel, and you get some coding guidelines through the file structure. It's just like a toolkit. When building something, you want to have the right tools, and a framework brings the set of tools you need, so you can pick and choose which tool you want.
I think we can't hear you now, Christian. Not sure what's. Is it me?
I can't hear him either, actually.
Yeah, okay. Christian, we can't hear you. No. We can't hear you, Christian. So, okay, then let me head it over to Ole. Meanwhile, Christian is trying to fix the audio. So I think maybe let's just jump directly into the release notes so that we can just have a little bit of an overview. I make it a little bit bigger in case you're watching from a TV. So I think Christian mentioned the update to PHP 8, which is definitely a big step, right?
Test 1, 2, okay.
Yep, you're back, Christian.
Okay, my microphone gain, Zoom leveled my microphone gain automatically.
Okay.
So I turned off automatic gain control, and hopefully it will work now.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So you followed the conversation, right? I just jumped now into the release notes, and we were just clicking through or talking through. So on top of PHP 8, what might be of interest, or what I remembered here, was also that it creates a lot of dependencies in the background, right? Where we have to update back and forth between the versions and the other stuff that NMS PRIME is supporting out of the box. Anything that some of you want to add here, or can we just say, okay?
I mean, Isinga, of course, we had to update Isinga Web, the director, Cacti, and all this. But it was a good solution anyway, because we, for example, with Cacti, we also had some security vulnerabilities. The same with Genie ACS, there were some vulnerabilities involved there. And so by bumping all these versions to the latest, which we will, of course, do for the next releases as well, you're always getting the latest and greatest software, and with all the bugs fixed, basically. Another really big part, if I look at the dependencies here, is that we introduced Websockets. But I guess maybe Christian, maybe you can go a little bit deeper into it, because you were basically one heavily involved in it.
Yeah, sure. I'm just fighting with my system a bit again. We updated to Websockets, which is live updating after connection, so we can push things in after page load. So the websites should feel more dynamic and more responsive. This is basically it. It gave us some trouble in configuration, but now we connected it via reverse proxy, and it seems everything works nicely.
I could even already show it.
Yeah, sure.
If we want to.
Yeah, feel free. So I think most of the people probably don't really know what it is. So it would be nice if you just show what the impact of it is.
So that's basically our demo system. I guess everyone may know. If you want to use it yourselves, you can see here we have some logins. You have customer for the English version, or Kunde, for example, for the German version. I'll just use customer in this case, so you can use this from your browser as well. Our demo system here, and there we do have DOCSIS and non-DOCSIS modems in here. We also have a DOCSIS 3.1 modem, this case, this guy here. And so if you now click on the modem analysis beforehand, and in the older versions, you had to wait until all the SNMP values came in, and only then everything was displayed. But now if I click on the analysis, what you will see is that you already can see the whole page. And then on the left side, there's this real-time dashboard, and there you can see how the values are trickling in over time. So if I click now, you'll see everything is there already. And now you see kind of a skeleton here. And now the values are queried, and you still see there's a spinning button, because as you can see here, there are still some value missing, and you see they are trickling in over time. So it's still spinning. So there will be some more data coming along soon.
Yeah, and this improves the page load drastically. So you don't have to wait for any data. So you just load the page and get the data that takes some time afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is excellent.
That's really the cool thing. And another one is what I think we already used before, but we also have the system for our, for the SNMP controlling pages. So for example, if you click here on our net gateway, on our CMTS, you can see the values here, and they're automatically updating in the background. And this is also powered by the WebSockets. And the cool thing here is that if many field technicians or guys in the NOC are looking at the same picture right now at the same page, this data is only queried once, because all the users are subscribing to this topic, and then they're getting the new data pushed whenever it's retrieved via our central SNMP poller. So it's also a scalability thing, because especially with CMTSs and some devices, we sometimes have issues with a lot of people querying SNMP at the same time. And this way, we alleviated this issue.
Yeah, this is excellent, and I really like it, and I think this is a big step in the right direction, to have the stuff queried, and also to kind of have it coming on a constantly behind, right, when the data are available. Yeah, so this is excellent. Christian, maybe just a short reminder. I think your microphone is, maybe you can just reduce a little bit the threshold, because otherwise you're a little bit too loud, distortion. Yeah, Christian, do you like to add something here, or otherwise we jump to the next topic?
Yes, the loading thing is also for the analysis page. So only one time the modem is queried once, or even with if the modem is queried a second time from another user, you get also the updated values. This is also a big benefit from WebSockets. You are subscribed to the channel, and every channel updates are handed out to every user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this again a very big step into the direction of scalability, so that hundreds, thousands of people can work with the system in real time, right? And not the system is breaking down, and not one of the devices which needs to be polled via SNMP, for example, is getting issues because too many forks are trying to get data from the device. So this is great and excellent, and I think was in many aspects a challenging thing. On top of that, I think we have some smaller stuff which I think we don't want to jump into it. We probably switched from source from IonCube to Source Guardian, which is internal encryption module. But this is something which I think we just mentioned it here. Yeah, I really remember what I'd like to add, and where we put in a lot of effort is that we in version 3.1 make a clearer approach with our app store, so that we maybe Ole, you can show it, that we are simply providing an app store where you see all the different applications that you might need for your OSS and BSS, and on top of that, maybe Ole, if you can.
Sure. So you can see it. Just continue, Torsten, but clicking here on the native apps, you can get to our app store.
Yeah, and the excellent thing is that we talked about Laravel, that all the required steps in the background are ready, that it's very easy and simple to deploy new applications. And so we start now that external developers can develop their own application and provide it over our app store. So this is something which is a very cool and nice feature. And I think, Ole, we see also here that of course, I think most of our viewers are aware that we use a lot of open source applications like Isinga or Cacti, which is automatically installed when we install our system, right?
Yeah, so we're great fans, obviously, of open source. And so we try to, whenever possible, use open source software. Of course, it needs to be stable and needs to be somewhat seasoned. And then we just try to interface it well with the APIs. For example, with Genie ACS, we use their internal presets and their internal provisions, and we kind of abstract this. So, for example, if you're using a normal DOCSIS modem, you're used to the config files. Now, if you go over to Genie ACS or to a non-DOCSIS modem, you still have a config file. It looks a little bit different, but in the end, you can say you can use the same facilities. For example, our variables, which are replaced automatically and all this stuff. So we try to be kind of an umbrella and include the good open source software and just make it nicely accessible. And as you said, up above you see our native apps. But of course, in this case, we also have some apps which are not yet installed on our demo system. And you can see this stuff here. And it's pretty simple by more or less just clicking on it. And this internally, these are Laravel modules, which then will be automatically deployed and migrated. And then you can enjoy a new app. And of course, we also invite external developers who want to share code or want to just supply some code and maybe make some money out of it possibly. And so we're happy to open our app store for this sort of opportunities as well.
Yeah, so I think this is an excellent use case. Another excellent use case is also that many operators, of course, we know are kind of developing their own software products for parts of their OSS or BSS infrastructure. And that you can also have a much easier tool how you can interconnect maybe with our framework on top of the APIs. I mean, everything that you see here is interconnectable with APIs, and this very generic API approach, which kind of sits behind the Laravel framework or the model view controller framework. And on top of that, it's easier than ever to add new applications or add code that your ISP is developing by yourself or that you want to develop by yourself and put it either for your own usage at NMS PRIME, at your NMS PRIME, or maybe you want to make a business out of it and sell the applications over the marketplace. So this is, this is excellent. So what else?
Christian, maybe you want to talk about the sidebar or about?
Yeah, good point. Yes, we did a lot of stuff in the UI to make NMS PRIME feel a lot better, especially for larger customers. Chiming in again in scalability efforts. For customers with a lot of nets, it was painfully to scroll through the navbar and find the specific net. So we included a search and favorite functionality, so that you can favorite the nets that you currently or mostly use or that you are responsible for, and also improved the experience and handling of the navbar. It looks the same like in NMS PRIME 3.0, but under the hood, basically everything changed, and it's much more responsive now and has a lot more animations and all the stuff. So this took quite some work, but I think for a feature like a sidebar that's constantly used, it really pays off.
Maybe Ulle, can you give a short presentation?
Yeah, I mean, I can show it, but I think there's not much to show because it's in the demo system. There is not so much to show, but maybe, let me see. So basically this is down below here. So in this case, it's just only one, but you can theoretically search for something like this, and then you can create favorites and something like this. So this is basically the idea. Of course, here there's not so much to show, but that's the idea that you don't have, like, you know, if you have hundreds of networks, it would be a very long list. And so having this favorite thing, it's quite nice, I guess.
I think what we can add here is that in the next release, we will be on top of that much more flexible when it comes to how the networks are structured, right? So until 3.1, we are kind of proposing that the structure is networks and cluster. But with the next release, what we are working now is that we have a much more flexible architecture. So there will be probably also changes, major changes here in this section.
Of course, a customer who already uses this, they can use it as is. So it's it's backward compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So one thing that came to my mind, which I really like, is that, and what also a big chunk of work is that we switch the map application or the map engine, right? And I think this is something excellent, Ole, since you have the system already open, that you can just give a short presentation. Makes it much more faster. It looks much sweeter, and I really like it. So maybe feel free to.
So just clicking on one of the nets, you can see, of course, this is just a toy net in our demo system, but I think one will get the idea. So you already can also see the various tabs here. So we have much more tabs now, and they adjust according to where you currently are. So it's much easier also to navigate through the system. But now clicking here on the network topology, you can basically see the new map. So beforehand, we were using open layers. This has been replaced with leaflet now, and it's much more versatile, much more dynamic. Christian implemented this stuff, but we also use WebGL, for example, if you have a lot of devices needing to show or having to show on the map, again, tying into the scalability issue. It's much more scalable and much more, snappy to work with. So you can see where the controls have changed a little bit. You can see here, of course, we still have our various layers. You can show or you can just remove, depending on what kind of topology or what kind of map provider you have API keys for. They're automatically showing up. So in this case, we have OpenStreetMap always. You can use Google Maps, of course, if you have the API key, and we also have HereMap now. And so for example, you can see here our polygons, which are used to set what kind of modem belongs to which kind of net gateway or to which kind of net element. And of course, it's very easy to, for example, this is not what I want. If you click here, you can see you can very easily adjust the polygon. And the good thing, what was not available beforehand, you can even also now delete some nodes. I think if you click on the node itself, you can delete this. Beforehand, what we have, you were only able to add new nodes to it. And of course, once you're done, you can hit save and something like this. On the other hand, of course, you can also click just in one of these polygons, click here, and then you go directly into the polygon and you see the modems which reside in this polygon here, and also our modals. So basically the pop-ups here, they have also been improved. I don't know, maybe you remember 3.0, which didn't look that nice. Now they look much nicer. And you, of course, also get just a summary of how the various modems look like, and also in a color-coded way, of course, such that if someone is not very used to these values, they can still work with it quite nicely based on the colors. Furthermore, yes, go ahead.
Also, maybe on the top, you can directly switch between the values, which was not as easily possible before. Of course, it's all green because it's a demo system and everything is very close to the CMTS. But for real world usage, this makes a huge difference for the customers, that you can directly switch between the upstream power values and the upstream SNR and see, and it's always color coded. And even if you say you have some difference with some modem type, you just click into the modem type and just say, okay, I just want to see just the AVM device, and then you get all the AVM devices. And yeah, this is really what you meant also with Snappy. Everything is really in real time working without page reload, and it's much better to work with.
Yeah, and furthermore, we also have our PNM data, as you can see here. So just clicking on it, it's there. You don't have to reload again, as you said. It's all
Before it was an extra tab, so you had to go to an extra tab and watch the PNM values or these rings, and so it's all integrated now into one map. And of course, you can also do the same stuff that you did in the network topology. So you can draw rectangles and
yes, for example, you could create a new modem, new net element from there. You can do you can draw polygons and say I just want to maybe in here. I want to see just these modems. So clicking here, and there you can see them. Or you can also create a new MPR, like a modem positioning rule. You can do stuff like this if you're crazy, and then just add a new MPR, and there you are.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if we ever made a video about PNM in detail. Probably not. But it's much too intense to jump into the topic right away, right?
Right.
I think most of the viewers are aware of Pretty Wolp. He's doing excellent job here as one of the biggest YouTube channels. So definitely follow him. He makes great work on the PNM tasks and topics. But here we can also just show, or not just, we can show the PNM. What is this called? The PNM radios? Ola, help me.
Yeah, I guess you could call it this way.
It's the TDR radius, I think.
Yes.
So
yes.
The distance to the largest reflection, and this is drawn around the modem as a circle.
Mm-hmm. And then if you have this interconnected heat map, it shows where the highest chance is for a bad cable or a cable failure, right? So this is the basic idea of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is the basic idea.
Yep. Okay, so excellent. I think I read in the news about Genie RCS. Maybe Ola, you can talk a little bit about it. I think it's on your map, so there's probably updates in it, or what was the task to accomplish within the new release? Is there something that you can show here live?
Right. So as I said, first and foremost, of course, we did updates because there were some security vulnerabilities which have been fixed now, and of course also some scalability stuff. But the most important topic for our customers is probably that you can, as I said, now monitor values from the device via TR69 and put them into the database and then show them via Grafana. For example, here we have such an example. This is one of the modems. This is a TR69 modem, in this case Fritzbox. You can see, and these values here, you can see they are retrieved not via SNMP like we did with DOCSIS, but they are retrieved via TR69. And this is done on every inform, or you can set it up. You can say, okay, I want to do this on every connection request. I want to do it on every inform and whatever. And this is user configurable. And then whenever this is coming along, a config file. So let's say we have a config file like here in our demo system. Let's say we click on maybe this one here. And down below here, you can see, you can build your own interface. So basically what you can see here, all these values, like last inform, hardware version, software version, this you can see here. This is basically the parameter of the data model of this device. And then you can, of course, translate it to whatever you want. And here you can also say, okay, I want this value to be shown on my analysis page. And maybe I want to do some calculations with it. Maybe, as I said, I want to go from kilobits to megabits. And so then I would say, okay, I want to divide, and I want to divide by 1000, for example. And then this is shown here on the map, on the real-time value panel. On the same time, you can also say, okay, I don't only want to show it on the real-time analysis. I also want to have it in my database. And then you can say, okay, what kind of column in our database should it be put to? Let's say I want to store this as average upstream SNR, and maybe here I also want to, I don't know, maybe multiply by 50 or whatever. And then this is pushed into the database. At the same time, what you can also do is you can colorize it on a map. So you can say, if this value is above, below, or between certain thresholds, it should be displayed as red, as yellow, or as green. And you can also say, of course, on what kind of tab it should be shown at. And so you're extremely flexible here. And you can, of course, it's also a little bit, it's also quite snappy. So you can just take it and push it here, and then you have it there. Or you want to say, okay, maybe let's say I want to see the device log. So I'll do device. And then, of course, in this case, we have a lot of devices. So let's do log. And then you can see down here below the device log, and then you just push it in here, and there you have it. So that works really, really well. And so I said, now, okay, we have configured it in such a way. And now, of course, you could either use the predefined dashboards we already have, and you can set them up here. So you want to say, okay, maybe I want to display. So these are the ones which we supply. And let's say I want to do DSL, and then you hit save. And then it kind of looks like this, that down below here, you can now see we have diagrams, and these values were retrieved via TR69, and they are shown just as you would expect with DOCSIS. And of course, you can see we have in the latest couple of days, we have quite a nice resolution. So let's say we go last 12 hours. You can see we have a resolution of 5 minutes. Of course, this is depending how you set it up. And so if we go a little bit further in the history, you will see that now the resolution is 30 minutes. And if you go even further back, I'm not sure how long this is available here. Let's see. Now we have a resolution of 1 day. So not only, so you have the best of all worlds. You can basically define whatever you want to see. You can also define how this should be displayed. Do you want it to see in green and red and whatever? And the older the data, the less fine-grained in the time scale it will be.
So thanks for this, Ole. Maybe let me just ask a little bit about it, because I think there's a lot of information to kind of digest. So just that we and I understand it correctly. Can you just scroll a little bit up so that we see the analysis page? So what you showed here. So first of all, this is like in German language, but you can of course change the language. But let's stay like it is. So what we see here is like the real-time values, right, of the modems, and these values are fetched via TR69. Yes. And the other tab that you showed is like a generic configuration where you can adapt the UI on the fly, so that it's not something magic where you say you always have to pay the software vendor a couple of $1,000 to adapt your analysis page. So the idea behind this is that it's highly configurable, not just for us as developers, but also like for the customers, that you can say, okay, I want to parse these kind of values. And the understanding, or my understanding here, is on the right side. So on the right section here, you see all the parameters that are available via TR69. Is this right? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then I just drag and drop them to the left side, and what is on the left side then will be displayed on the analysis page. And then on top of that, I have all these kind of stuff that you showed. So our viewers maybe jump back in the history if they want to see it again in detail in the video. That we then can say like, I want to do special calculations, that I need to, I don't know, switch from decibel microvolt to decibel whatever millivolt at 60 or something, or divide with 1000. And on top of that, I have also the possibility to configure what is monitored here, or do I get this wrong? Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you can say where it should be stored into our database and what kind of column. And based on this column, then you can, with Grafana, you can build your own dashboard, and you can say, how do I want to show this value in my diagram? It may not even be a diagram. You can also do some, some donuts like we have here in our something like this. You can also do this with Grafana. So it's very, very flexible in the way how to visualize data. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a topic where we maybe might another video or a couple of videos to kind of get more into this, because I think this is very, very interesting to many of our customers. And is this also possible not just for TR69, but also for SNMP, that I can configure these dashboards, or is it as of now just for TR69? Right now it's TR69, but we are planning in the future to do everything. I mean, right now, DOCSIS is quite stable, and it's quite easy to get the SNMP values, and it's pretty well standardized by cable labs. But we saw in the TR69 world, this is really not the case, or sometimes really not the case. And so that's why we made it much more dynamic. But of course, we plan to be able to do this in the future for DOCSIS as well, because we are already there. It's just one more step we have to do. And I think what's on our roadmap on top of that is that these kind of flexibility, what you will see here now in TR69, not just that it will be added also to SNMP, but instead, or on top of that, it will also be added to all the kind of net elements, right? That you can just configure these UIs much more dynamically than it is right now. And that you also can kind of create tabs and all these kind of different things if you want to monitor much more details on your CMTS or whatever core or whatever elements you want to monitor, so that we can just say like we have different gathering tools like SNMP TR69 or maybe streaming telemetry. And on top of that, all these kind of UIs that you see here are highly configurable, so that not just the coders can adapt the stuff, but that the customer themselves can, with a little bit learning, do this by themselves. And it should be very or highly intuitive, so that you can easily click through, read out the SNMP or the TR69 databases and MIPS, and then adapt this along the way. So this is still some effort or big effort to do, but this is one of the big focuses for the next release. But we are here now happy with 3.1 that for TR69 we have a lot of flexibility, and in the net elements it's also correct me if I'm wrong, track and droppable as of now, so that we can kind of adapt these UIs, right? Okay, cool. So
yeah, and the good thing is you just configure it once, and you can reuse it for different devices. So also you just have to invest one time the time to configure it, and then everything is set up pretty quickly afterwards.
Yeah, that's right, Christian. And I think the cool thing also that Ole, you showed is that for each config file you can then say like, for this modem or for this type or for this TR69 device, FTTH device, I want to use this in this dashboard, right? So that you can easily create these kind of dashboards for yourself, and then kind of show them on top. I just want to add one comment here for maybe all the viewers who are kind of new to the channel. That's another very long topic, which we had done probably a couple of videos. But I think so far it's maybe interesting just to add that our basic architecture for FTTH, DSL, and active Ethernet or passive Ethernet, it does not really depend. Maybe Uli, you can just explain one of the thoughts here. So I think in the DOCSIS world, everyone is probably aware that thanks to Cable Labs, everything is very well standardized, that we have like the config files, which is of course a little bit legacy, but is still used highly, and the DHCP. But in TR69 on FTTH space, nothing is really well standardized, and so our framework slash approach slash proposal, how we configure these or how we handle FTTH is displayed in this diagram. Maybe Ole, you can just do the 45 seconds 1 minute pitch, and then we leave this topic.
Yeah, so basically the idea is, I mean, if you talk about GPON, if you talk about active Ethernet, if you talk about Whisper, so over Wi-Fi, like there's always a little bit of a challenge how to limit, for example, the customer speed. And so we wanted to rely on an open standard, which is well proven. And so basically what we do is we're using PBPoE on top of the existing infrastructure. So basically, I mean, with active Ethernet, it's simple. You already have a layer 2, no issue, like a layer 2 link. With GPON, we do provision the OLTs in a very simple way. We just wanna have again a layer 2 tunnel or layer 2 link. We don't really care about anything else. So we try to configure as little as possible on the vendor specific devices. Just very small, such that you have a layer 2 link, and on top of this we do PBPoE. And so for this we have a built-in Radius server, which can talk with the BNG, or the BNG will talk with us, and then we will hand out the according Radius attributes. And so this way we have a common standard which will work everywhere with DSL, with Whisper, with GPON. And this is our idea. And now if you create a new user, a new modem, then we automatically build the entries in our Radius database, in our Radius server. And this way you don't have to care about anything. Everything is automatically done. The only thing you have to do is provide a router like a BNG connected to NMS PRIME, and then the speed will be provisioned accordingly. And of course, if you change the speed at some point in time, this will be, of course, also reprovisioned.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing is that you don't have to send out any crazy telnet or SSH command from the provisioning / management system, right? But that it's all done via standardized protocol. So,
yeah. I mean, in the future, we might, or netconf is basically an idea how to do this also programmatically, and we are currently looking into this as well. But some of the customers, of course, they use hardware which does not support netconf yet. And so we just had a look at what works right now well for everyone. And this is basically what it is.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, excellent. So my proposal is that since we covered, I think, most of the major topics, that we maybe just scroll through the rest of the release notes. And if any one of you likes to add something here. We spoke about the major stuff here. We spoke about the new App Store. We spoke about the sidebars that are done, the tier 69 stuff, which is now better. Of course, the API is increased or improved within the last release. And yeah, if something else pops up, just comment in and feel free to.
I mean, maybe regarding DHCP server, this is something we also improved on scalability-wise. So beforehand, we had this topic that whenever you create something in your modem or something like this, and for example, we had some customers externally who are using our API to push in new modems, and they usually do this in batch. So they maybe push 100 modems per day into our database. And the issue beforehand was that the DHCP server was constantly and over restarting, which is kind of unnecessary. And so what we currently do is we defer the task of restarting the DHCP if we do not get any updates within 10 seconds. And so this, again, just reduces the load quite a bit. We also give some hints if you, for example, create a new IP pool or a new CMTS, and these IP pools are overlapping, for example, then you get right away an info, because we had one of our customers who, by chance created 2 IP pools which were kind of overlapping, and they didn't really notice this, and this was causing some issues. And now you get this right away if you save the pool that something is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
excellent.
Furthermore, when it comes to DNS, so we usually query our modems every 5 minutes. And this will, in the background, since we're using dynamic DNS, is creating quite some load again, because these DNS queries are done every 5 minutes. And so what we also introduced was a DNS cache. So we basically cache the IP addresses in our database, and we only update this stuff once an hour. Of course, we sometimes invalidate this in certain cases, but this also allows our modem crawler to run much more quickly and is able to query more devices at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What pops into my eye is the new ERD that we might are able to show. If you can share the demo system again, Ole. Yeah. There's something we worked on quite heavily in the last year. I think every NMS Prime user is very familiar with the ERD. And we try to bring this to a more modern level or modern view. And for the version 3.1, we integrated an ERD version switch, so you can toggle between the versions. And here we are dependent on feedback of the customers of NMS Prime, what they like, what they don't like. We are experimenting with it, and we would like to still improve this and make it better. Maybe you can enable it now.
Yeah, sure. So this is the old one, and now clicking on the version switch. Go ahead.
So it looks at first a bit different, but everything is should be the same. So the same elements. The advantage is now that the display, even for larger nets, it's easier to scroll and pan and zoom into the net. This was quite difficult for large nets with the previous ERD version. And also, in addition to this, you can search search inside this, which was not possible in the old ERD. So if you have a large ERD, it was quite hard to find a specific net element. So this is also now very easy doable. And even if you have passive elements configured, you can even go into the vicinity graph and look at your network structure from a more detailed perspective.
Yeah, and the interesting part also here is if you have a very big network, you can do collapsing and expanding. So right now everything, as you can see, is expanded. But let's say you're not really interested in cluster 3, you can simply or cluster 1, you can simply collapse this, or you could collapse everything.
Yeah.
And so in this case, it's quite it's much more snappy and much more dynamic again.
Yeah, and it shows like if there is any route kind of having troubles, then it's getting colored, right? So if there's like I don't know, at amplifier 5,
there's a critical path, right?
We see like the physical path up to the root cause.
In this case, right now there's one path shown here, but if there would be an outage, you would see it in red and to the device. Yeah,
I think this stays still something where we're working on in the next releases, right? So this is something which is also a big priority next to the track and droppable and the much more intuitive adding of SNMP and TR69 stuff. But this is excellent, and I really like it. So yeah, what else? I think I'm not sure. I didn't really have the time how long we are already online. I think maybe it's now getting to 1 hour. So maybe everyone, one last thing that you like to add here. But otherwise, I think we have most of the major stuff.
Maybe
anything,
or maybe Christian, go ahead.
What also pops into my eye is the new ticket center, the ticket receiver. We updated the handling of ticket. Our ticket system module quite improved. We for example, if you have a lot of field technicians and you write internal tickets, we have now a fully mobile responsive or mobile native ticket center, where every information for the ticket is really condensed down. And it is the good thing. It's mobile native, so mobile first design, and for field technicians, they can access it with their smartphones and easily find every information for the ticket. They can chat with the supervisor or get a Google map route to the issue if there's a position of the ticket, and all those stuff that makes the life easier for the field technicians.
And I think we do have a small video, more or less regarding the workforce, but I'm not sure if we do have a video for the ticket system, but this would be something we could show for.
I think we have a video for the new ticket center out. It's even, I think it's German with English subtitles, and there you can look at the features.
Okay, so. Yeah, then excellent. Here in Germany, it's Friday today. So it's Friday getting to 4 p.m. The typical cliché means now that Germans start probably at 5 with a beer, which maybe today for me is true because my grandfather's giving a celebration, like he's showing some of his biking tours across Europe in a small / private public speaking event. So that's where I'm heading next. Any plans for you, Christian, this weekend that you want to share here?
Maybe today the weather is really nice. We will go outside as a family and maybe like I don't know, in German it's Drachensteigen. I don't know the English term right now. So maybe
flying, I'm not sure.
dragon flying. I'm not sure, but if the wind is good, we will try to do that. And for the weekend, there's some work at the church I'm doing. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm actually again shocked. Like I'm now living in Dresden, which is like 100 kilometer or less than 100 kilometer away from here. And I've been the last weeks over there, but I'm now back here in Marienberg. And in Dresden, it's probably, since it's just a couple of less than 50 miles, I would think. But Marienberg is more higher than Dresden, and the last weeks in Dresden was already very warm. And when I now come back here, there's still laying snow around here, and everything's very cold. So I have to get used again to the cold temperatures. It's really crazy, just a small difference, but the temperature level sometimes between 5-6 degrees. That's kind of impressive always. Yeah, Ole, anything on your schedule?
Just first to add, it's called flying kites.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, probably also using the weather. I think we're gonna hike on Sunday.
Okay.
And there's also the Linux days coming up this weekend. So even though the weather is great, I think I'll have a look at some of the videos there as well, or maybe later on the recording. It's quite a nice venue here in Chemnitz. I think it's one of the biggest Linux
events in Germany. Yes.
So, I think it's even one of the biggest. I would not say maybe worldwide, but I think it's one, especially in the early days. I think it was one of the biggest, also worldwide. Now I didn't really catch up with the numbers the last years, but when I was much more engaged in the coding 10 years ago or something, every year I was there. This year, I think virtual only, right?
Right.
Also the last 2 years probably.
Exactly.
But I would hope maybe that next year it's physical again. Maybe they have to shift the calendar to summer. It's always like in March, right? It was always like second or third end of March, and I also back then when it was physical event, I really enjoyed it, and it's a lot of great talks there, and a lot of forks actually coming. So I think it's more than a couple of thousand visitors, right? So that's excellent with big speakers. I guess even Jimmy Wales was once there. From Wikipedia when Wikipedia was not so big. So yeah, it's really cool event.
Yeah.
Okay. So then enjoy your weekend, and thanks for the discussion.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks to our viewers for watching, and enjoy your day. And